Hey man, there's a harsh truth that most men never fully grasp until they've been wounded, until they've given their all to someone they loved, only to be left stunned, confused, and hollowed out by betrayal or abandonment. It's not something you can learn from advice or books. It's something that only becomes clear through pain, and it's this. Many women live in a version of reality that doesn't truly exist. Not because they're malicious, not because they're unintelligent, but because their reality is shaped by emotion, not logic, by how things feel, not by how things are. Their perception of the world is fluid, often untethered from consistency or objectivity. It's a reality governed by internal sensations rather than external truths. While men are often taught to navigate life with structure, principles, and logic, many women are taught by society, media, and even upbringing that their emotions define their reality. They don't necessarily see the world as it is, they see it as they feel it should be. That emotional filter colors every interaction, every decision, and every relationship, reshaping facts into fiction and turning solid ground into quicksand. And unless you understand this dynamic, unless you recognize how deeply rooted this emotional lens is, you will spend your life perplexed, manipulated, and emotionally drained, often by women who aren't even aware they're doing it. When a woman tells you she loves you, she may be entirely sincere in that moment. Her eyes may shine with truth as she says it, but that truth is not anchored in permanence, because if her emotional state shifts next week, she may walk away without a second thought. Not because she was lying, but because in her world, that love no longer feels true, and therefore it isn't. In her mind, reality is not a fixed line. It's a wave, rising and falling with emotion. So when you ask, "But what about everything you said?" she might look at you with confusion, even frustration, because you're referencing a world of facts and commitments while she's operating in a world of feelings and instincts. And in that emotional world, what was sacred on Tuesday might feel suffocating by Thursday. There's no accountability for the shift, not because she's dishonest, but because she doesn't see a contradiction. She doesn't feel she changed, she just feels differently, and that to her is enough. This is why so many men are left in silence after being ghosted, cheated on, or abruptly cut off from a relationship that, by all logical measures, seemed perfectly fine. To her, the emotional justification is all that matters. If she feels neglected, even if you were working hard to build a future, then you failed her. If she feels undesirable, even if you complimented her yesterday, then you've somehow abandoned her. You can lay out the facts, show receipts, explain your intentions, but it's like trying to prove geometry to a storm cloud. It's not that she doesn't hear you, it's that logic has no power in the domain of emotion. Her feelings are her facts, and if you try to reason your way through that emotional storm, you'll only exhaust yourself. Because arguing with emotion using logic is like yelling math at a hurricane, loud, futile, and ultimately self-destructive. Quick break. Close your eyes for a second. Picture her, the girl you've always wanted. Feel what it would be like to actually have her. Now open your eyes, because here's the truth. Right now, you're invisible to her. You're getting outcompeted by guys with more money, better looks, higher status, and stronger game. You're playing a rigged game, and you're losing, but I've spent the last 35 years mastering this, studying, testing, and finally finding the secrets to get the girls I always wanted. You want to stop getting ignored? You want her chasing you? Then you need to wake up and act. Click the link in the comments if you are truly committed and take the first step toward becoming that guy. Few spots left. Be fast or miss out your last chance to make her yours. Let's get back to it. You see it early in the way some women fall in love. Not slowly, not with caution, but with a kind of reckless intensity that sweeps you off your feet before you even have time to process it. It's fast. It's overwhelming. It feels like destiny, like the universe itself aligned just to bring her into your life. She talks about soulmates before she knows your middle name. She paints mental pictures of the future with you, imagining homes, babies, lifelong commitment, and it's easy to think it's genuine love. You start believing she's fully invested, that this is rare and real, but what you're experiencing often isn't love at all, it's emotional projection. She's not truly seeing you. She's seeing a character she cast in the story playing in her head. She's not falling for your essence, she's falling for what you represent, for what you could be, not who you actually are. That illusion feels amazing at first, but it's fragile, because as reality inevitably creeps in, as you begin to reveal your imperfections, your humanity, your complexity, that dream version of you begins to crumble. And that's when the shift happens. That's when her affection fades, her attention pulls away, and her eyes stop looking at you with the same warmth. You wonder what changed, you retrace your steps, but the heartbreaking truth is, the woman who loved you so intensely never truly existed. She was a creation of her imagination, a fantasy you briefly fit into until you didn't. This is also why you'll hear contradictory things from her without warning. I want a strong man who shows his feelings. I want a provider who doesn't care about money. I want a leader who lets me lead. These statements sound like puzzles that don't fit together, and that's because they don't. But in her world, in her emotional framework, they feel right in the moment. She's not pursuing logic, she's pursuing a feeling, and that feeling doesn't follow rules. It's not held together by reason or coherence. It's driven by mood, by desire, by the chase of a high that constantly shifts shape. And when that feeling fades, as it always does, her story shifts with it. What once fulfilled her now feels suffocating. What once excited her now bores her. She's not plotting, she's not malicious, but her internal world is built on a foundation that's always moving, always adapting to whatever sensation she's chasing next. And if you try to respond to that chaos with logic, if you try to anchor her storm with reason, you'll feel like you're going mad, because you're trying to decode a language that was never meant to make sense. You're trying to find order in a world that thrives on emotional motion, and unless you understand that, unless you accept that her internal weather may never stabilize, you'll keep torturing yourself, trying to bring reason to a situation that was never rooted in it to begin with. Social media has only made this fantasy world far more complex and dangerous than ever before. Today, women are bombarded non-stop with curated images of perfect lives, flawless couples, and seemingly ideal men, highlight reels edited to show only the best moments, filtered snapshots that erase flaws, and stories designed to captivate in mere seconds. Instead of appreciating the real man standing right in front of them, the one with imperfections, complexities, and genuine emotions, they find themselves constantly measuring him against an impossible standard. They compare their partner's reality to these manufactured fantasies, to a never-ending stream of highlight reels that paint love as effortless, grandiose, and endlessly exciting. And the message sinks in deep. Anything less than perfection is failure. If you're not texting with the charm of a poet, showing up with the wealth and confidence of a billionaire, and loving with the sweeping passion of a romantic comedy lead, then you're simply not enough. It's a battle you'll never win because you're fighting against illusions, against versions of love and manhood that don't actually exist. The most unsettling part is that she doesn't even realize she's caught in this cycle. In her world, this feels right. It feels authentic. Modern culture constantly reinforces this narrative, telling her that her emotions are valid beyond question, that if she feels it, it must be true. So she stops doubting her impulses, stops seeking deeper truths beneath the surface. She begins to live inside an emotional echo chamber where her feelings are always justified, and any man who dares to challenge that narrative, who calls for accountability, consistency, or reason, is quickly labeled controlling, toxic, or insecure. Yet ironically, that man is often the only one grounded in reality, the one with his feet firmly planted while she drifts further into illusion. This is why you'll see so many women jump from one relationship to the next without pausing to reflect or learn. In her world, she was never wrong. The problem always lies with the man, with the circumstances, with anyone but herself. Her ex didn't make her feel safe, but the new guy gets her until inevitably the cycle repeats, because it's not really about the men she chooses. It's about the world she's constructed inside her head, a world where love is supposed to be easy, effortless, and constant, a world where emotions never fade, where discomfort signals danger, and where pain is to be avoided at all costs. So when reality inevitably knocks on the door, when life demands effort, compromise, and vulnerability, she flees. Her illusions can't bear the weight of the real world. And here's the hard truth. You can't fix this. You can't save her from a fantasy she doesn't even realize she's living in. You can't drag her out of a world she doesn't even realize she's living in. The harsh reality is that her fantasy isn't something you can fix or unravel for her, no matter how much you care. What you can do, and what you must do, is protect yourself. Stop buying into her illusions. Stop accepting her words at face value when her actions tell a different story. Stop trying to prove your worth to someone who changes the rules in the middle of the game, rewriting expectations on a whim. Instead, stand firm in reality. Stay grounded in what is tangible and true. Lead with facts, consistency, and integrity. If she chooses to follow you there, to meet you on solid ground, then that's a win. But if she doesn't, you don't chase after shadows or illusions. A man loyal to reality never begs for companionship in a world of delusions. And here's something no one tells you. The more grounded, stable, and consistent you become, the more she will test your resolve. Because in her world, strength is both magnetic and threatening. She'll prod, provoke, and stir up chaos just to see if you'll crumble under the pressure. If you do, respect fades. But if you stay calm, steady, and unshaken, she will either rise to meet you or walk away, and both outcomes serve you. The right woman, the rare woman, will eventually come to understand that the fantasy she clings to can never fulfill her deepest needs. Needs like stability, leadership, and unvarnished truth. When that day arrives, she'll seek out the man who never wavered, the one who stood unflinching through the storms. The deeper, often overlooked truth is that a woman's emotional world isn't something you can simply logic your way through or out of. It isn't constructed on rules, reason, or consistency. It's built on sensation, impulse, and intuition. This is why she will often contradict herself without even realizing it. She'll cry over chaos she created, and yet blame you for not fixing it. If you don't have the mental and emotional framework to stay anchored and steady, you'll be dragged into her storm. You'll begin doubting your own judgment, questioning your instincts, and feeling like you're losing your grip on reality. This isn't because she's malicious or evil, it's because you forgot to hold your ground in reality while she drifted further into her fantasy world. There's a reason so many men today find themselves emotionally drained, confused, and feeling utterly defeated in their relationships. It's because they're trying to love a woman based on who she could be or who she once was, instead of accepting who she truly is right now. They cling to the memory of the way she made them feel at the beginning, the passion, the excitement, the hope, and they refuse to face the reality of who she has become over time. They become addicted to the emotional highs, the moments of connection and warmth, but are terrified to confront the lows, the distance, the confusion, the coldness. The harsh truth is this: if she lives in a world where emotions rule over loyalty, where fantasies consistently outweigh effort, and where the truth bends and flexes to suit her feelings at the moment, then you're not in a real relationship at all. You're trapped in a dream that shifts into a nightmare the moment you stop performing to her ever-changing expectations. So it's crucial that you understand this clearly. Her world is not your responsibility. Her emotional roller coaster, her highs, her lows, her confusion, her impulsiveness, and her unrealistic fairy tale expectations, none of that is your job to fix or manage. Your job and your only responsibility is to remain firmly rooted in what is real, to lead with clarity and vision, to move with purpose and unwavering resolve. And if she can meet you in that grounded place, if she can step out of her illusions and join you in the world of truth and consistency, then that's a blessing. But if she can't, then you have to let her live in her fantasy. Let her find someone else who's willing to play along with her shifting narrative. Because you didn't come this far. Build what you have and fight through the battles you face just to be relegated to the role of a background character in someone else's ever-changing dream. You are the reality. She either chooses to join it or she walks away from it. This is exactly why a man must build his own world first, long before he allows a woman to enter it. A world constructed on the foundations of truth, strong standards, and unwavering values. A world that doesn't bend and sway with every emotional gust or mood swing that passes through. And once you invite her into that world, your focus should not be on her words, which can be empty or misleading. Instead, watch her patterns carefully. Observe not only how she behaves when things are easy and joyful, but more importantly, how she acts when the relationship is challenged. Does she bring peace or chaos? Does she contribute to growth or create distractions? Does she help you live in reality, or does she pull you deeper into illusion? Because the truth is, you cannot afford to let fantasy cross your threshold and start rearranging the furniture in your mind, shifting your sense of self and your understanding of what's real. What's wild, and honestly kind of ironic, is that even though she lives in a fantasy world shaped by emotions and shifting realities, she still wants you to be the one who's real. She wants you to be the anchor when she's the wave, steady and unmovable, while she rises and falls unpredictably. She craves your consistency to balance her volatility. This is both your greatest power and your heaviest burden, because if you're not solid in who you are, if you don't know your own truth and stand firm in it, she will knock you off balance simply by existing. This is why so many relationships today feel upside down. The man becomes reactive, constantly adjusting and responding to the emotional currents the woman leads, while she controls the emotional narrative. But the relationships that last, the rare and truly strong ones, are led by men who stay grounded no matter what. They allow her to feel deeply, to express her emotions freely, but they never let her chaos dictate their truth or shake their foundation. The deeper truth, brother, is that most women don't even want to live in their fantasy worlds forever, but they don't know how to escape them. From the moment they're born, they're fed lies that tell them every emotion must be honored without question, that love should always feel effortless, and that any discomfort or challenge is a form of oppression or failure. So they chase magic in every moment, searching for sparks, butterflies, and signs from the universe to prove love exists. Yet no one teaches them that love is hard work, that true strength comes from stability, and that a man who might seem boring but is consistent and reliable is worth far more than 1,000 charismatic manipulators who light up the room but leave destruction in their wake. Until they learn this truth, they'll keep chasing illusions and leaving behind the men who were actually real, the ones who showed up even when it wasn't easy. And here's the ultimate irony. When she finally grows tired of her fantasy, when reality finally pulls back the curtain and she wakes up from the illusion, she'll come looking for a man like you. Not because she suddenly recognized your value in some romantic revelation, but because life and reality forced her to face the truth she was avoiding. But by that time, you'll be gone. You will have outgrown the games and built a life that no longer needs validation, affection, or drama to feel complete. And when she realizes she let go of something real, a man who was steady and genuine, for a carousel of illusions and empty moments, the pain will hit different. It won't just be the loss of you she mourns. She'll mourn the life she could have had with you, but was never emotionally ready to accept or fight for. The strongest men I know aren't the loudest or the most aggressive. They don't chase after validation or dwell in bitterness. They're simply done. Done playing therapist for someone else's emotional chaos, done explaining logic to a world ruled by shifting feelings, done trying to be everything for someone who doesn't even know what she wants or who she really is. These men have accepted a hard truth. You cannot build anything lasting with someone who lives in a dream and calls it love. So now, they either build alone, focused on their own growth, their own vision, or they build with women who have faced their own illusions and humbled themselves enough to embrace reality. But no matter the path, these men no longer lose sleep over being misunderstood or unappreciated. Instead, they sleep soundly because they've chosen peace over potential, clarity over confusion. If you've ever felt crazy trying to make sense of a woman who changes every day, please know this: you were not crazy. You were sane, grounded, and operating within reality while she was lost in imagination. If you've bent over backward to prove your worth and still got discarded, understand that you were never really in her world to begin with. You were just a character in her emotional movie, and the script was constantly rewritten. But now, you see it clearly. You know better. You won't step back into a role you never auditioned for. You won't be someone's temporary savior while she chases eternal fireworks. You've earned your clarity, your peace, and it's yours to keep close. Women live in a world that doesn't exist, and that's okay. Let them. But you as a man must remain firmly grounded. You must move through life anchored in truth, building on a foundation of reality. Because the world doesn't reward fantasy or emotional whims. It rewards discipline, vision, and clarity of purpose. And when you hold on to that truth, when you stop trying to convince others to see things as they are, that's when you find real peace. That's when you find true power. And maybe, just maybe, a woman who's finally tired of illusions will find you, ready to live in your world, a world where love is real, loyalty is proven, and truth isn't just spoken, but truly lived. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. If this message spoke to you or gave you something to think about, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new drop. I've got more real talk, more growth, and more power coming your way, so stay locked in. And if you're going through something right now, just remember, your silence can say more than 1,000 words ever could. Take care of yourself, keep rising, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.